Hey guys, welcome back. So today we have Deshaun Baylock here with us. He is the head of business development and Web3 Gamification at 2TG Entertainment, which are the developers of Faenora Wildlands. So I've had the pleasure of speaking with Deshaun over the last few months, and it's great to have him here with us to share a little bit more about Faenora Wildlands and hopefully be able to leak some alpha which they have been cooking. So Deshaun, welcome.
Hello, hello. Yeah, I think I could probably leak some alpha. We got like the top tier alpha that we can't leak, the middle tier that we can. So I think I got some things in store for you.
All right. Hopefully you'll be able to link everything, but I understand if you won't be able to.
Yeah, if the ink is dry, I'll leak it. If it's not, then it's in the air. That's kind of the way I think about it.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so to kick us off, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so um, some people may know me as Black Smoke Soul. Basically, that was the persona I had on the Solana blockchain. I've been in the Solana space since roughly 2019, 2020. Started getting into NFTs with Days Ducks and then just went, way over to the GameFi side. And that's really, what I focused on. But outside of that, my gaming background, I was a professional Magic the Gathering player for probably 3 years super seriously, and then like semi-pro off and on. You never really leave Magic the Gathering. And then obviously, I played WoW. I did all that cool stuff. I even did like Eve Online. I might be aging myself, but yeah, I was super competitive gamer at the top levels, and that's kind of how I've been since I came to Solana.
Well, have you checked out Eve Frontier, which is the Web3 version of Eve Online?
So I haven't yet. Honestly, for me, unfortunately, I had to stop putting as much time as I want into the games I was playing just to kind of focus on what we're building here and like really get into the weeds on the
Mhm.
gamification side. So haven't checked that one out. Was getting pretty heavily into parallel because the comparisons
TG,
to Magic
right?
the Gathering. Yeah, yeah. And like I
Yeah.
had a couple other friends who started playing it, and like my first or second month, I like made it like top 100. Then like some people were reaching out for sponsorships, and then it became a completely different game. The way the new ladder was set up, it's like you need to pay
Mhm.
like 500-600 games a month. I can only really get in 100, 150 max, so got to wait for them to switch that back up before I can really get back into it.
Yeah, and Paro have been cooking so much in the space as well, especially over the last few years during the whole bear market. They really transformed what they have been doing. Got streamers like Eddie in as well. So they've been doing great.
Yeah, yeah. I got into it just because I asked like a couple of my old Magic buddies and like kind of the group I would play test with and like go to tournaments with in Magic was like the Channel Fireball guys, and like that included like people who were close to Ivan Flock and all these other dudes like Jason Flora. I was like, oh, I know all these people, so let me just give them a quick little kind of buzz or ask their friends if the game's really good. And everyone's like, it translates well, it's very deep. If you're better than the other person, you have a high chance of winning. So I just started playing it.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's talk about 2TG Entertainment. So maybe you can let us know about a little bit about the company, when it was first founded, and how did you get involved with them?
Yeah. So first found it's always that hard question, right? You have the idea in your head, and until you like incorporate. So basically, 2.5 years ago, Nathan and a group of guys in Canada were in the indie circuit, and they just were in blockchain. They really liked a little bit of the crypto side, but they weren't really finding a lot of the games to actually feel like games. So they decided to start 2TG Entertainment. Um, they have a couple of guys, we put out some stuff on our team. They weren't always the biggest fan of blockchain, but now as it started to evolve, they're more open to, kind of seeing the success. Like when you've seen Off the Grid kind of launch that way, and that is a crypto game,
Yep.
people kind of have their perception switch. So after seeing win after win, pretty much everyone on the team now is like, okay, this makes sense. I can understand why we're doing that. And how I actually got involved with them is towards the start of the year. I started up a company called the Gaming Ball, which was just like me and all of my non crypto connections, where I could tap them to kind of ask about a game, have people alpha test it, and get like insight from pros. So, like, I know like pro COD players. I know, like I said, pro Magic players. So basically, what I would do is like, hey, this is your alpha demo. Put it in front of them. They would tear it apart, rip it apart, say if it's worth something. And that was like one of the three aspects of the business. And after doing a whole bunch of conversations, like saying no to a lot of people, even though I thought I might want to, go that way, like
Mm-hmm.
Hakori, a lot of the earlier 404 NFTs on Solana didn't really vibe with the way the team was going or the game. So, passed on those and then eventually landed here. Really loved the product. And from my tech and go to market and my background, I was like, okay, let's start something small. Let's see how this works. And then from there, it just kept evolving.
Okay, and it's great that you actually have, you and your group of friends actually, you have actual Web2 gaming background and you were pro player as well. So you really know what it's like to have a good game and make people addicted to the game itself, right? So I think it's a great experience that you are bringing to the table.
Yeah, and the thing for me that kind of goes into the rug is like it wasn't just like, hey, I was a pro Magic the Gathering player. Like in between rounds, we would basically like beta test and alpha test games, and that led to a lot of things. So like right now on Solana, there's like Soul Forge, this new game that came out. It's made by Justin Gary and Richard Garfield, the people who are like the actual creators of Magic the Gathering. They like have a game out, and I was kind of playtesting with their company, Stoneblade Entertainment. I have emails from them from 10 years ago. So like I've just been navigating the space on the board game side. And now it was time for me to really poke my head out once I seen a protocol that could really align with the games the way I think they should be made.
Mhm. And I'm assuming that 2TG Entertainment stands for To the Grave. I mean, it's in the titles of both of your games.
You know, I'll leave that one to Nathan. I've asked him a couple times. I think he just likes the two and the T and the G. But a lot of our games is in this universe, and that's kind of the way we're going to build it out.
Mhm.
But I can't give a definitive one on that.
All right. All right. So, well, switching gears a little bit, the investment space over the last few years have not been doing particularly well in terms of when it comes to the gaming industry. So maybe you could share a little bit about 2TG Entertainment and if are you guys founded and how do you survive are you guys funded, sorry, and how do you survive the bear market?
Yeah, that's a great question. So realistically for us, at least for like me and Nathan, um, the way we kind of thought about it is you want to stay lean and you want to make sure everyone is carrying their weight. Like this is an indie studio. It's just
Mm,
people who want to make a game and they're not forced to making a game. So everyone's gonna be putting in their best efforts. So we've been able to keep the lean style through basically the whole company, and been able to actually produce something that people are saying is top class. So we're self funded. We have a decent amount of runway, and even if we need to keep extending it, it's just us putting more investments in. So the way we survived the Bears, like I said, just the run rate was very, very low. Um, and I don't want to share the exact figures, but we're good to go at least for a year. So regardless of
mhm.
what happens through all of our next stages, it isn't like we're just going to disappear, fall off the face of the earth. And also, we have kind of the white label service where we actually do have the time to make games for other people's as well. So that's kind of how we had a little bit of income from doing something with like Source Protocol, and we really just made everything stretch.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that, having to keep your runway as lean as possible, your team as lean as possible to preserve your capital. Because in the past life, I've actually been a co-founder in a startup as well for 7.5 years. So
Mm.
those were not easy times, especially when COVID hit, right? So we had to trim staff, we had to ensure that every single dollar that we spend, there's a return on it, right? So I can appreciate that, and it's good that you guys are very conscious of your expenditures and keeping it as lean as possible to extend the shelf life of the company. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And from kind of my professional background, I've been a head of sales at one company, at a YC Combinator company, and then the next company I was a director of sales. And a lot of the things I did as working from the founding AE all the way up is like manage marketing budgets, figure out how you can get a 5 to 7 LTV. Like you want to bring someone in, that's really important, but retention is also one of the most important tools for a company to actually stay open. So like
Mhm.
that's really the way we're thinking about it, is like, hey, we'll spend a little bit less on the front end to get a ton of people, but we want to get people and we want to retain them. So then over time, we kind of have this active group of people who are really strong supporters. And then from there, we're going to be able to convert them whichever way we really need to.
Sounds great. Okay, so right now, I guess we'll jump into the meat of things. We're actually going to be talking about Faenora Wildlands, the game itself. So maybe you can share with the audience what exactly is Faenora Wildlands and what inspired 2TG or you guys to develop a game like that in the first place.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as games have been progressing, we've been kind of switching from this style of being able to have these 5, 6 hour sessions. And what we realized is a lot of players, they really only have 30 minutes to an hour at a time to really dig into a game if they want to be completely immersed in that world. So we were thinking, how do we make the best of this? We want to make sure we're able to do mobile. We want to make sure that we're able to do something that doesn't freak out the crypto space. So this is how we eventually landed on browser, because um, unless you're on a launcher, no one wants to download your game. And that is the way it should be in the crypto space. So, there's a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of different ways to think about it. That was the part and the reason why it went browser. You can do cloud saves. You can do a lot of cool stuff with Unity.
Mhm.
And then the other side of it is everyone loves kind of the tactic style game, as long as you have this ability to show off that you're better than someone else. So we kind of took the flex and the competitive side, mashed them together. We wanted to take mobile and PC, mash them together. We really just wanted to come up with this unique game that someone hasn't completely done, but also make sure that it has the feeling of something you've played before.
Mhm. And what about the mechanics of Faenora Wildlands? What kind of game is it?
Yeah, so basically we consider it very loosely tied to a roguelike, because there is the
Mhm.
tactic style of it, but it isn't fully a tactics game either. So we kind of mashed them together and we made something that we believe people haven't really seen before. And like the Steam reviews and basically the reviews we got from a lot of people in the crypto space playing it is saying that we're pretty close to the mark with the way we have the game loop set up. Basically, you get your heroes, you're going to play, you're going to level up, you're going to die, but you're going to get some experience. Or in the actual hunt mode, you're going to be able to save items and do all these things that make your progression easier. But yeah, that's really what we really built, a game that you can dig into, feel like you're accomplishing something, have progression, win rewards, all underneath an hour.
So, because it's a Web3 game as well, right? So, what kind of Web3 integrations, can we look forward to? And from the team's perspective, why Web3?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the reason that we're going Web3 is gaming should always rely on the best tech if it's going to make the game better. So when looking at the hybrid technology or the 404s, however you want to talk about it, it was what feels like the first game that you can have this very expansive world packaged really smoothly and able to do on the blockchain without it feeling like the gamer's doing this insane amount of stuff. One of the things that we really like to stick with is like click to gaming in under 60 seconds. So the reason we became or using the Web3 tech is when playing tactics games or playing roguelites, you get all these things that you're putting hours and hours and hours of time into, and then you literally can do nothing with it. Um, 30 to 40 hours of gameplay, if you attach it to an hourly wage, that's a lot of resources that you put into the game. So what we thought of is like, okay, we don't want to, break the mold and do something completely different. We just want to give people the ability to do what they really want to do with their items and their skins. And then also on the economic side, we were able to align with this protocol that really helps you make an economy that is self-sustaining, and it's also a closed loop environment. So basically, people aren't selling things and it's leaking out and you're missing out on keeping the economy strong, or you don't have to do this 16 DOS thing that you created yourself. to actually make the game work. It's all smooth, it's all packaged correctly. And we believe now that the tech has caught up with the gaming industry on the side to where it can be visible and actually be a bonus to the game.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned previously in our conversations that there's the partner that you're working with, they bring to the table a very unique technology when it comes to the NFTs. So maybe you can share a little bit about what the NFTs actually are and how it is actually integrated with the MCHY token.
Yeah, so the way we're actually approaching it is the NFT is going to be your in-game character. So right now we've revealed our mercenaries. That's like the flagship character in the game. That's also going to stand alone as a 10K bundle of tokens. So the issue that we see with the space right now is a lot of these game economies, they're very inflationary. You have your NFT that's decouped from your economy. And then the issue is you have a completely different token that starts at the top, everyone puts their money in, and as you simply give it out to people, they just sell it and then the price goes down, and there's really no way to create enough syncs to really keep everything engaged. And then you also have this issue of an extractor or someone who's actually playing the game. With this new technology, what we're able to do is, since your NFT is also your game piece, if you want to fractionalize, then you take yourself out of the reward pool. So that right there is one layer of security on your economy. The next thing is for all of the microtransactions, as the value goes up, then people are like, oh, I believe in the economy more. So when you actually set up the economy in a way where everyone benefits, that's really when you get to see the type of things that the technology can actually use. So our bet is if your game piece is also the tokens that are attached to the in-game currency, is going to have less downward pressure. And one thing that we haven't talked about is every single transaction has a small burn on it to have that economic value go up. So a lot of people have been reviewing the tokenomics of 404, has been trying to crack it and trying to see if this is just a fad or fake. And it actually passed all those tests. So that's why we adopted it. That's why we believe this is going to be the future. And we've been in 6 or 7 months of building on top of this protocol to make this game work.
And there's no pre-sale of the tokens or anything, right? Like the entire supply of the tokens is only just going to come from the NFT sale itself.
Yeah, that's correct. So we have said no to VCs, even though we probably should have said yes and taken the money when the market was giving out money free. But the way we think of it is if you're starting an economy with so much overhead, there's no way the buying pressure from normal economic activity is going to be able to get through that. So what we've done is the TGE will actually be the mint. So whatever we mint, that's going to be the TVL. So it's going to be fully diluted. It's all out. While we have seen a lot of success with like Xborg and all these companies that went DEX only and just let it go out the door, and then if people support it, they support it, and it goes up. Our bet is exactly that. They just beat us to it, and that's exciting because now we can look at this and see what they did, make sure we're doing everything right on the back end, so that way we don't, have some of the mistakes that might have came from those type of launches.
Yeah, and DEX only launches have been doing pretty well in the space. They started with Xbox, of course, and then after that, CD5 did it as well. Lizard Labs and now Super Champs. They have all been
Yeah,
doing really well.
and that's the thing that I think a lot of these games or people when people really think about it, if you got to pay your bills right out the gate, they're just going to sell the token. The VCs are going to get their money back. They're going to recoup their investment. You can't be mad at them, but you also can't be mad at your community who's like, wait, we're getting dumped on by the VCs. We didn't get that price. So now we have to eat however much they're dumping on us. So it's the perfect dance. And it's hard to say who's right because a lot of these projects wouldn't come out. There's no VC funding, but it's also the community is never wrong unless they're just thinking in a completely different way. So for us, we kind of met in the middle. Whatever we meant, that's going to be RTGE at the same time, and then everything's going to be out. There's going to be ways you can swap your tokens. There's going to be remints. We built a full economy over top of the actual protocol, so then that way we can support what we believe would be the trajectory of growth.
And I'm not sure if you can actually say this. Let us know if you can't, it's totally fine. But will you guys be setting up a liquidity pool for the MCHY tokens?
Yeah, absolutely. We're setting up with a liquidity pool. We haven't figured out the exact amount. So the issue that we have here and what we've learned from the space is the bigger it is, the more stable the price, the less dynamic, which then makes people speculate a little bit less. But if it's too small, then your pool's wrecked, then you dive off a cliff and no one wants to buy it. So that's something we're looking at pretty heavily with all the other launches. You know, we looked at Pox, you know, they had this huge run up, they had so much locked. And you know, it's in an interesting spot. What we're doing right now is just kind of seeing what is the best way to do it and then come up with our theories and act from there. So we're reaching out to Orca, reaching out to Radium, we're kind of learning. And then now the company that we're probably going to launch with, they have experts as well that we're all starting to have that conversation to make sure we set it up the way we actually want it to go.
Sounds great. So sounds like you guys have it all planned out already, right? It's good to know that the team is very prepared for the big things that will be coming in December as well as in Q1 2025. Speaking of what is coming, do you have any information on the dates of the mint? How much is it going to be, etc., etc.? Like the details.
Yeah. So the dates of the mint I can't like officially say because we're basically going to be launching our hunt mode. Then after that, we're going to take all the feedback, fix anything that needs to be fixed, and then present a really well polished product. So I know Q1 is when I would say.
Mm.
So as early as mid January, probably as late as March. But all of that is, you know, kind of whatever we got to do to fix the product after we put it out, after you guys break it, because we thought we had everything ready for our alpha demo. And the first day, all of our servers got blown out. We had like this huge bill. So we're learning from all of our errors. And that's the reason why I don't want to just say, hey, it's going to be this date. And then we got to do something special behind the scenes. So yeah, I would say Q1 for the men.
Happens all the time, right? Whatever that can go wrong will go wrong. So you just have
Yeah,
to react to it.
that's what we learned. Like we thought we had everything perfect. We're like, oh, there's no way this happens. I think it was like 2 million API hits, and then it went into
Oh,
accelerators, and that was it for us. So yeah, if anyone kind of understood what happened on the first day, we were like posting, we're like maintenance, maintenance. It was because we were just getting absolutely destroyed because we didn't compute how many people would try to play it all at once and the amount of transactions that go into it. Because each screen, each level up, each one of those ticks you see is just like pinging right back to our API, and people, you know, played 24 out of the first like 40 hours just playing the game. So we were not prepared for that.
yeah, I can't blame them for doing that though. I mean, I played the game myself, and I can see
Yeah.
why they want to play for 24 hours out of 40. So,
You know, I don't blame them either. You know, like you said, we're trying to make something addicting. We're trying to make something rewarding, and we feel like we're getting close. And we got, you know, way more features going. Like this was just the tip of the iceberg. Like I would say 20%. 20% of what we had planned was just in the alpha demo. So a lot more stuff cooking.
a lot more things that will be coming. So, that is one of the alphas that you're sharing. That's great.
Yeah, I look, the hunt mode. We are literally putting some of the final touches on it. But, you know, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 weeks. I would say probably the start of January is when like the hunt mode would be open to test for like our affiliates. And then that's going to have pretty much everything ready to go. We're going to have like test assets, and we're going to keep that one a little bit smaller. So then that way we can really figure out and make sure that everything's buttoned up, because once we start going to the level of prizes we're going to do, we want to make sure people aren't able to duplicate items or find a way around making items permanent or things like that that can really wreck the economy. So we're definitely going to flush it out.
Right. So, one of the things that you guys have done is you actually release a demo version of the game and let people play the game first to decide if they want to get involved or if they want to contribute and mint later on. So, I think that that is a very good thing to be doing. And you know, more and more, I'm noticing more and more projects in the space doing that as well. So, your recent play to whitelist event, phase one,
Mhm.
just ended. Maybe you could share with us a little bit about the learnings that you had for that particular campaign and any takeaways that the team got from it?
Yeah, so what we learned is the way we approached it was definitely the right way. We weren't necessarily sure, um, because we see a lot of people doing things a different way and having success, but they're also not indie studios, right? So typically, the route of the gaming industry, from what we've seen in the crypto space, raise a lot of money, be VC backed, make a free to play game, and then try to activate all the players who are in your retention database to then pay off everything. That's one way to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the way we were thinking about it is like, hey, let's show everyone that we can make a product first. And then from there, we think we would have a better chance raising without having to sell so much of the equity. So that's what we did. We bootstrapped it. And from there, we were able to figure out that people are going to find you. Like, if you have a good product, people are going to find you. There's alpha hunters, there's Discord. Like, the moment we said the word whitelist, there was so many people trying to play the game, trying to figure out ways to bot the game, trying to do multi accounts. And that's what I would say was probably our biggest learnings, is just like the amount of smart people who will try to figure out a way to double Q, triple Q, find a way to do max levels within like 4 hours. Like, someone found a bug to actually be able to, like, at the end of the game or at the end of the stage, put in some combination and just like auto level your players and like sent it over to us. So like, there was just little stuff like that that no matter how hard we tried to replicate, we would never figure out. And I think that's the reason why we're like, okay, we 100% have to launch the hunt mode, and we got to let people play that one for a decent amount of time, because we would have never figured that out no matter how much we played the game ourselves. So yeah, a lot of smart people will try to farm you if you let them, and you just got to be prepared for that. For anyone in the future, you got to be prepared for that.
You got to be prepared for that. Definitely. I mean, I've been in space for a couple of years as well, and there will always be people who will try to see if they can break the system. They'll try to game the system to get every advantage possible. So that's very normal, and yeah, it's good that they did that actually during the early parts of your game, so that you can find all the different bugs as well.
Exactly. And outside of that, that was kind of just like a duplication error. So like, even on the backend database, it wouldn't have updated their NFT, but because we weren't having it verified, they were just able to do that and then like play. So, sent them an email, we figured something out, we got everything aligned, but it was very cool that, they shared it with us. And that's something we found through testing, is like, if you give the community a chance to speak up and you let them have a voice, they're going to say exactly what's going on. They're going to tell you what features they want in the game. And then you have to decide, does that align with your mission? And how do we put it in without wrecking anything else? So, yeah, I think the biggest learnings I would say from phase one is people are going to play your game if you have a good product in this space. And then they're also going to try to break your game, if you let them. So those are, yeah, the two biggest learnings we had, at least from my perspective. I don't, I'm not the engineer. I don't know. There was a lot of late pings, like, hey, what's going on with the save file? But outside of the normal stuff, it was like an actual very, very smooth alpha phase.
Fantastic. And I believe you guys have phase two that will be coming on as well, right? And you mentioned the hunt mode quite a couple of times during this interview. So maybe you could share with us what is coming up for phase two, and do you have any time frame for it? And share with us a little bit more about the hunt mode.
Yeah, so phase two is going to be more on impression. So what we wanted to do with phase one is just prove that we had something people liked, right? We weren't spending marketing dollars. We just stealth dropped it to our newsletter and said, go at it. And then, we got on Twitter the next day, people were sharing it. They're like, wait, the game's out, what's going on? And from there, it started to snowball into this effect. So what phase two is about is we're basically just trying to get as many impressions. We want to get our product in around 5 million eyes. Like, that's the number we're heading for. And the reason for that is just based off some of the back of the napkin math that we had from Twitter conversions, from our newsletter conversions. We think that if we get in front of that many people and our conversion rate stays similar, we should be in a pretty good spot, have a very, very healthy community. And that would allow us to set the groundwork of having, anywhere from 15 to 2,000 players out the gate, and then deciding if we need to scale, and what we can do to actually do that. And then the hunt mode. This is, what we're really, really putting our name to. So all these tactics games that you've played all throughout your life have been training you for this moment. So what we're doing is we're calling it a high stakes, high reward game mode. And realistically, we've built a fully recursive 90% economy back to the players. So, let's say you meant for 120, everyone starts playing the game, the reward pool grows. The way we're actually doing it is it's going to be a linear payout based off of your actual achievements. So there's going to be a pot for people who are staking, but the lion's share of the pool actually goes to people who have to log in, who have to play the game, who have to be good enough to beat the boss. Like, one thing I've learned is that the Griffin is not friendly. So if you're not actually, taking the time to advance yourself, to get your skills up, to level up your characters, you can play the game, you can have fun, but you're not going to be getting the lion's share of the rewards. The way we wanted to set this up is the highest stakes, the highest reward, the highest skill game on the blockchain. And a lot of people who are playing it said it's been pretty hard. 30 to 40 hours from over 400 players. I think we had roughly 100,000 to 120,000 hours in about 50 days of people playing our game. And obviously, rough estimates because there were some bots in there and we had to get people out, things of that nature. But those are like the amount of metrics that we're doing just now. So for me, the hunt mode is going to be taking what we have and it's amping it up. So a lot of the things that we can do is people were like, hey, our items don't save. Well, there's going to be a microtransaction for that. And 90% of that microtransaction goes to the reward pool for active players and then staking players. Hey, my person died. I couldn't revive them. I didn't hit a healing spree. Guess what? You're going to have a microtransaction for that to where you can revive people. Then it goes to the reward pool. Oh my goodness, I don't like my class. I don't want to have a squire in my party. Guess what? You're going to be able to swap that for an archer or a cleric and the gotcha style box. Well, guess what? All of it goes back to the reward pool. So we have built out a Gloomhaven-esque progression system on chain on top of the roguelike game that everyone's been playing. And we're making the stakes even higher than it is now. So there's been some people who've been raging. There's just some people who've been loving it, posting it, saying like, "I just got double galed. Like, how could you guys do that to me?" Honestly, we just want the game to be fun and challenging. So this is going to make it a little bit more. But yeah, our hunt mode is kind of what we're putting our hat on. One of the things we're doing is we're having a free to play game. And then like our story mode, which is just like the non-NFT version. And then the hunt mode is really where you got to have an NFT to actually be in the reward pool. So anything we say with hunt mode, it's only for the NFT side. Anything that's our normal mode is just for normal gamers.
And for the hunt mode itself, I mean, it sounds exciting, and I can't wait to get involved and start playing the hunt mode as well, right? So, but is there any restrictions on who can play the hunt mode, or is it only just? I mean, we understand it's just NFT holders, but in regards to the who can actually play it, is there any restrictions, or it's open to everybody?
Yeah, so the way with all the extra features that we're going to be building in is just going to be for the NFT holders. So the way we think about it is if you want to play in this risky mode where there's permadeath, like your NFT can die and you can't revive them and you lose all the progression, but you can swap them or convert them to another hero. Those things are so risky and so scary that we don't want someone who, didn't really think through. They just went in the game, they played it, the character died and lost $200 on the character. They're gonna be upset. So we may or may not be thinking of another entry for players who want to kind of dip their toes in. But for the super high stakes, high rewards, that's just going to be for the NFT mercenary holders. So there's no confusion. Like we have this little gamification Bible that you got to read, because if you don't, you're going to be really upset. And it's not our fault if your hero dies or your mercenary dies and you don't revive them and that is gone. We can't save it. It's on the blockchain. So yeah, you really got to, like we said, it's high stakes, it's high rewards, but it's also very risky. And you have to go into the hunt mode at your own peril.
Makes sense, makes sense. I mean, it's called high risk, high reward for a reason, and that's what you're risking in order to get better rewards down the line in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And those rewards, which we haven't fully mentioned, is we're going to have a seasonal approach. We have about a year's worth to maybe a year's and a half worth of content and support that we're working on that will have a little bit more of a multiplayer feature, some type of raid element that works kind of similar to a progressive jackpot. And then the main draw, like why would people want to go into the hunt mode? Well, we're going to be taking anywhere from 10 to 20% of whatever we raise and then putting those as seasonal rewards. So basically the way to think about it is, let's say, we do everything we imagine, we raise 1.2 million. Guess what? Season one rewards is anywhere from 50 to 75K for the top tactics players. So like that's what we're seeding this with. So for the people who are in phase two, yeah, I'm gonna leak it. I'm gonna leak it right here. The
There we
highest
go. There
nether
we
shard,
go.
yeah, the highest nether shard spenders um, during our phase two that isn't being rewarded with whitelist, those, maybe 100 to 150 players would be the people who get to actually be in the alpha test of our hunt mode. And then we're also doing a capstone tournament where the prizes are going to be anywhere from 15K to 25K to show off the premise of what we're actually trying to do. So for the people who are like, oh, I don't know what the hunt mode is, I don't know if I really want to try something that risky, it's like, look, we're going to actually show you a proof of concept first. We're going to show you how it goes. There's going to be some big winners. We got some affiliates who are literally jamming the game. We got random people who are just hitting us up on the side. Like, I don't know why I'm still playing. Like, I got 60 hours in the game. I just wanted to get a no damage clear on the boss. Like, there's players out here who are just playing this game for fun. And that is the thing that is super exciting, that people play this game for fun. What's going to happen when you have the ability to cash out 4 or 5K by being the best player? So yeah, that's kind of the way we're thinking about it. We wanted to make something that can only be done on the blockchain, that's verified by the blockchain. You guys own the economy. You guys are going to be owning those rewards, and we're just going to have fun building this game.
Dude, no damage clear on the boss.
That's what people are going for. I'm like, how? How are you like? Why? They have like triple knight. They're doing like double brace,
Oh my
two clerics, their main hero, and then a fighter, and they're just like, I want to clear it with no damage on me. I'm like,
oh
yeah.
my God.
I didn't think you guys were going to play it this much. Like I knew they were going to play the game, but like that's so much. Like I love it. I love it, and I want to give them more reasons to play it.
It's great. It's great that, different players can look for different ways to push the game to its limits. And, I like that players are crafting their own achievements as well,
Mhm.
right? Like no damage clear on the boss, a party of only clerics, for example. I've heard some talks in the space as well. Some people are trying to do that. Just the main character, just the hero, and all
Yeah,
clerics. To try to clear the boss with that.
right. And like you know, we aren't 100% done. We might have like a weird questing system, but like I said, I would say right out the gate, 6 months of what we're going to plan is like done. Now it's just making sure the back end is completely handled. But yeah, there's going to be all types of things. It's going to be a very, very unique game. It has like a board game feel to it, but then it also has a very, very fun tactics and roguelike feel to it. So we kind of, like I said, we jammed them all together. We have some people who, kind of worked on the Gloomhaven testing. That is a very inspirational game. If no one knows about it, it won like board game of the year, like 2 years in a row. Um, but yeah, that's basically what we're doing here. We want to make sure that everyone really understands the risky side of it because they're just going to see, hey, I can win 70K. Well, it's going to be split throughout the top 100 players, and then you can also lose your NFT. So just like be really careful. I just want people to know that high risk means really really high risk. And yeah, there's things that can't even be recovered because it's the blockchain. So watch out. We're gonna have everything out. Also, our new website very close to done. So yeah, we got everything going. We may or may not be, starting up a partnership with the esports team who might be streaming our game because they just reached out to us and they're like, "Hey, this game looks fun. We want to stream it." It's very streamable where you get to sit there and have your crowd interact with you back and forth. So yeah, we're doing everything to get phase two and hit 5 million impressions. That's our goal before it met.
All right. One of the things that not many people talk about, and what I noticed in the game is actually, and this is not in the list of questions that I sent you, so sorry if I'm just jumping the gun here.
Yeah, no
Um,
worries.
but one of the things is the lore, right? The story of the game itself. So it's actually, so if you actually play the story all the way, once you kill the Gryphon, there's a twist at the end where the wizard who gives the hero the shard that allows him to revive, he's actually not what he appears to be. Right. So I'm just wondering, in phase two, will there be more progression in terms of stories, or will there be the release of the four hidden characters or four hidden classes that we see in the game right now?
Yeah, so I would say that the classes, they're probably something that'll be out when we have like the game actually. So like the hunt mode, maybe the first iteration they may not be out, they may, depends on how much work we get done behind the scenes, because that's, you know, animation. What I can say is we brought on a new pixel artist to work with our normal one, so there's going to be a whole bunch of new imagery, a lot more polish. There's going to be a lot more monsters. It's going to be pretty much everything's people have been saying to add to the game. We have it lined up to be added, and I believe those are going to be in the hunt mode. But the new characters, those are going to be something we're going to have to keep in our back pocket, because it requires just so much on the animation side. Like, if you really just listen to the game and you play the game, there's zero shot that you could tell that this is a crypto game. So that's the type of level and polish we need to keep as we start to go to Web2 markets and just like, hey, do you like this? And they're like, yes. And then they play it for a couple of hours and they're like, okay, is there more than this? I'm like, well, you have an option of playing the story mode, or you can figure out if you're better than everyone else and try to win money. So none of that works if they look at it and they go, this is crap. So that's really the way we're approaching it. You know, some people want us to just put everything we have out right now and just let it run. But that is not going to work with people who are used to playing Diablo or Final Fantasy Tactics or Ogre Battle. Like, they're going to sniff that out a mile away. And we just don't have that ability as an indie studio to get multiple chances, multiple remarketing launches. That's just not going to work. So that's the reason we're not rushing everything. Anything we've put out has been pretty polished, and we're going to kind of stick to that flow.
All right. And I'm assuming this is going to be the same for the lore as well.
Yeah. So I think the lore is locked in. So one of these things about Nathan is he has this ability to be a creative director, right? He just sits around, he makes t-shirts, he thinks about this, he makes plushies. Like, this is what he thinks about 24/7, is like multiple stories. So even right now, we have some scripts that we're talking to like D Reader and all these IP plays to kind of warm it up and make the lore even more expansive. Because one of the things about Munchkin is it's a interdimensional traveler, super kawaii, super friendly. But what the way we've set it up is they're able to interact with a lot of universes. So pretty much all the partnerships that we really interact with are trying to have IP crossovers into the game, and one of our partnerships may or may not be with one of the biggest um, gaming cabals out there, or whatever you guys want to call them. But there may or may not be some type of IP crossover that's going to be a limited edition in the game that you actually get to put on your hero, customize it, and only people from this place will have it unless they sell it and do whatever. So that's the way we're thinking about collaboration in IP. It isn't just, hey, do you want to work together? You want to get whitelist? It's like, we want to figure out the actual things that will let us expand the universe and then actually put it in the game. Like, that's what people don't take the time to do. They're just like, hey, we're partners, that's cool, but they're never really advancing their IP together. And I think that's where we're going to be a little bit different.
Sounds great. So the game, we know with the launch of Phase 2 and Hunt mode coming out, there will be a new level of polish in the game. Would you say that it's close to full completeness, or when do you estimate the full launch of the game is gonna take place?
Yeah, so we're going to launch, like, so basically we started off with a plan to align hunt mode with the story mode. After putting it on Steam and hearing what a lot of the Steam people said, it's like, okay, if we're going to package that and sell it as a Steam game or have it be free to play, we're going to need a little bit more polish on just like some of the animations, or just like the overlaps that happened when your person has a status and a character dies at the same time. Sometimes little things would just not look right. So those are the things that the people who are on the Web2 side notice. They're like, oh, it's a little ugly there, I wouldn't buy this game. Or other people are like, I would buy this game right now. I would buy this as long as they put more characters in there. So we're taking all that feedback. We're gonna package the Faenoraverse edition for the NFT and the Web3 side. That's going to be completely launched, and then we're going to have the seasonal approach and develop that for a year and a half. What we're going to do then on the actual free-to-play game is we're going to finish it out as a full game, have it have a very expansive story mode, have it have expansion through all of the characters, and then put that out on Steam, Epic, and things of those nature. So realistically, the game probably won't be fully done for 2 to 3 years, but the hunt mode is going to be completely done, completely playable, I would say Q1. And then we're going to go back and finish up all the mechanics through the story mode and then have that repackaged for probably a sub by the end of the year. So those are the two avenues we're thinking for revenue. We had 7,400 Steam wish lists. We got it, we were in Steam Next Fest. We didn't do anything. They just found the game. Indie articles have been writing about the game just for fun. They're like, oh, this is cool. Where do these people come from? So as long as we don't drop the ball on that side and we don't drop the ball on the Web3 side, I think we have something we can really build up here.
All right. Thanks for that. Okay, so as we are going to prepare to wrap up this conversation, is there any, I know you have dropped quite a bit of alpha peppered
Yeah,
throughout this conversation.
you got me in alpha mode somehow. I don't know what happened.
Is there any specific alpha that you would like to shout out or share about your upcoming plans?
Yeah, so as you guys have known, we've been pretty much doing everything ourselves. A lot of our outreach, like how we actually built our community, was simply just going and doing AMAs and then going and doing another AMAs and taking the product and putting it in front of people's faces. And for phase 2, we're going to be doing that a little bit differently, while just trying to make sure that we're not falling into the trap of just trying to get as many followers who actually aren't interested in the game. Like, we're not going to buy, we're not going to do any of that. But what we are going to do is actually put money into the marketing. So I would say we're in final stages. We're in negotiations with a very, very, very hard to get into Web3 incubator. So yeah, that's one thing we're going to do in the marketing side. Already leaked a little bit about the esports team. Basically, it's going to be an open streamership for them, to where anyone on their team, they get a certain amount of pay. They're able to just stream the game however they want, whenever they want, to help us hit that 5 million goal metrics. And then the other last thing that I'll drop is, I would say we're launching with probably what I would consider to be the leader in the NFT space. So, they may or may not have a token where there might be an eligibility checker coming out, but I don't know. That's a friend NDA. But yeah, that's all I would say on the alpha side, is that we are really, really making sure we have all of our T's dotted. Whatever we got to do, whatever that saying is, that's what we've done. Probably shared a little too much there, but hey, these are the decisions you get to make when you get put on the spot.
We love that, love that. We love you to share more always.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, for me, I think the most exciting thing is just like the amount of thought and kind of structure behind the scene we're putting into the hunt mode to make it just one of the funnest things. Like, I get to test it a little bit. Me and Nathan basically make sure that it's playable. We make sure that anytime you need to be able to make a decision that's going to impact you losing your NFT, you have the option. So every single time, whether it's you going into a very scary fight or going back to town to heal, that's something we incorporated in the game that you currently don't have. So like, if you were to have your hero and you do 3 stages and you're getting a little low life, right now you just push through, you let your people die, and you get to advance further. Well, in the hunt mode, you kind of don't want those people to die. So you have to decide if I want to go back to town and heal, or go to the shop and buy some items and heal. So that's kind of the next evolution of the game, is that you're going to have micro decision after micro decision after micro decision that has a huge effect on the outcome.
It's great because it contributes to the strategic level and layers within the game itself. You're forcing the player to basically plan ahead in advance on their next move. So I think it's fantastic, and it will add many new layers to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I would say that's all the alpha that I'll leak. We have some other good stuff where the ink isn't completely dry, where we haven't really figured out the way to implement it, but I'm sure you guys hear about that relatively soon.
Okay. And very last question. Anything else that you would like to share with the audience that has not been covered yet?
Yeah, I would say just play the game. That's really been our calling card. Any of these rooms we get into, they're like, "Ah, you're too small. Your followers not at it." And then we're just like, "Hey, man, just play the game for 10 minutes and let us know what you think." And then next thing you know, we're on a partnership call. We're figuring out the way to work together. And I think that same type of energy should be with the community. If you don't know about it, if you think this may not be your cup of tea, play for 30 minutes. 30 minutes. And then if you don't like it, hey, thank you for trying it out. We're not, raising off these numbers or anything like that. It's basically just giving it a chance. And I think that's what a lot of more people need to do on the crypto side is like they've been burned by so many games. When you go to play a game, you have to like have a Discord and then you got to have, 6 NFTs to log in. And it's like, no, man, just go play the game. And then from there, decide if you want to learn about the world. So that's something I would definitely share. Play the game, make your decisions after that.
That's great. All right, Deshaun, I think I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll be able to get you on board once again.
Hey, no worries. I had a blast. I think what I'm seeing is a lot of people put together like actual strategies they're getting ready to implement. For me, like doing a lot of the one-on-ones with people who are in the creative man, and they're like, oh man, guess what? I've been playing. And if you take 4 archers and you put them to the back, you're gonna have a good time. So like I just can't wait to talk about the strategic side of the game. I think that is just going to be levels deeper than a lot of people are really expecting. So yeah, I'll definitely come back to talk about that.
Great stuff. All right, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Absolutely. Have a good one.